Before we begin, I'd like to issue a small warning about today's episode. This episode contains discussions of death, dying, mourning, grieving, and coping with all of the above in an unhealthy fashion. If you or someone you know is going through a loss and is coping poorly, reach out and talk to someone and let them know they aren't alone. Därför de är fränder, de är självarit samma, en ord styr, de är aldrig, chimer ser godan getur. Därför de är fränder, de är självarit samma. Ik vet ein att aldrig där, domrum döden stjärn. Cows die, men die, and you will die all the same. I know of one thing that never dies, the reputation of the one who has died. Cows die, men die, and you will die all the same. I know of one thing that never dies, the reputation of the one who has earned it well. Death is never an easy thing. The loss of a close friend, a mentor, a parent, somebody who's come into your life and inevitably made it all that much brighter. What do we as pagans in the modern era do when we lose one of those bright lights in our lives? Hey everybody. Welcome back to I Am Heathen and So Can You. I'm your host Einar, and today we're going to dispense with some of the more jokier aspects of how we present the show. Today will present itself a touch darker than usual because we're going to be talking about death. Where we go, how we get there. Questions I know a lot of us have had. Growing up Jewish, I never really had much of a spiritual outlook on death itself. I very much looked at it as, this person has left my life, I will be sad, I will mourn, I won't forget them. Embracing my faith and embracing heathenry sort of gave me a philosophical compass when it comes to looking at death. I think it's also super important for newer pagans who listen to this. In this faith, there is no concept of sin. There is only honor and dishonor. If you died in war, you either went to Valhalla or Folkvanger, to be part of the human host at Ragnarok. If you died at sea, you were welcomed by Ran. If you died any other way, you were welcomed into the embrace of Hel, the entombed goddess herself. That is to say, all people who went to these afterlives lived and died in honorable conduct. Those who chose to live their lives dishonorably were sent to the bottom of Yggdrasil to be consumed by the serpent Nidhogg. This episode is trailing on the heels of the 1-year anniversary of the passing of my mentor, Leiknir. You don't necessarily require a mentor in this faith, as finding resources and places to learn aren't remotely in short supply. But there is something to be said about having that one-to-one connection, someone you can consistently turn to. It's a beautiful thing. July 25th of last year, after placing a call for a wellness check, I got a phone call that nobody ever wants to hear. The news that my mentor, a man who had become not just my mentor, but a father figure and an extremely close confidant, had been dead for 4 days. I broke the news to those closest to him, and courtesy of our Gothi, we held a mini to honor his memory, which is a short ritual where people come together to raise toasts and celebrate the life of the person we lost. And while it proved to be something incredibly beautiful listening to the assembled masses raise their glasses in memory of an incredible person, it was also painful, deeply scarring, in point of fact. The realization that he was gone, that his perspective and personal approach, he was one of the older generations of pagans in America, by the way, would be gone forever. This convinced me to process my grief quite unhealthily. I threw myself into work and not much else, and I'll be honest, it absolutely hurt to talk about him. Hell, it still does. So, what the fuck do we as pagans do when somebody dies? Those verses I read at the top of the show are verse 76 and 77 of the Havamal, which we will be doing another episode on down the line. And those verses speak to reputation, specifically the reputation of the people who have died, and how, for good or ill, it is the reputation of the dead that will live on long after they've left Midgard. Prior to my mentor's passing, I celebrated winter nights for the very first time when I was a resident of the weird state of Florida. I'd been missing my grandparents terribly. As they'd both passed when I was 13, I promised I'd use that day as a way to honor them, and right there before bed, I laid out a bottle of San Pellegrino mineral water, my grandfather's favorite, some chocolate, an apple, and some red wine. I silently reflected to myself, and when I went to bed, I had one of those spiritual moments of validation that made me fully understand that even though they're physically gone, they never left. I dreamt of being in the back seat of my grandfather's Lexus RX 350, the last car he ever owned, and I heard Los Derrobades by Julio Iglesias, who was one of his favorite artists. I woke up the next morning feeling completely different, like I had gotten a big warm hug from somebody I hadn't seen in entirely too long. When I returned to New York, April of 2024 rolled around. I lost another dear friend, a person who had snapped me back to reality from my own id-driven, depressed darkness. And again, winter nights rolled around, and my friend and my mentor were left offerings alongside my grandparents. And I sat there talking to them as they were right there with me. And fair warning to anybody who is looking to add ancestor worship and veneration to their practice, it's going to impact you heavily. It's going to be completely okay to want to cry your eyes out and feel like you're going to fall apart if it's the very first time you've done it. It's an incredibly cathartic experience, and I highly recommend that everybody at least try to incorporate it into their practice. For those of you newer to your faith, for those of you who maybe have been on the path for a while and haven't experienced death through a heathen lens, understand that it's perfectly okay to pray for, mourn, and celebrate the loss, celebrate the life. God, celebrate the life of someone who didn't walk our path. It's perfectly okay to walk into a synagogue, a church, or a temple to mourn with the families of a person you lost. Odin and the rest of the gods won't descend from on high to blood eagle you for conducting yourself with honor. It's okay to not be okay when facing a loss. This hypermasculine notion that pervades our faith, that we as male-presenting dudes have to be the stone-faced stoic assholes while everyone else around us falls apart, is fucking stupid. And Yet another bad joke that makes this faith look foolish. Mourn your dead. Celebrate their lives. Remember what they contributed to the world. And through your memory and the sharing of their stories and lessons, nobody's truly dead. Whether you hold them a memorial every year if you're in a kindred, build an ancestor altar, or if you're able to go and visit their graves, so long as you keep the flame of memory burning bright, you're doing right by yourself and the person you're remembering. I know this was a bit of a shorter episode, and I know you're getting the more raw side of things with me. This is a hard topic, and I don't care how tough you think you are. You lose someone close to you, talking about death and how to process grief like this, it's gonna mess with you. And if anybody says otherwise, I've got a bridge in Manhattan I'd like to sell you. That, my dear heathens, is all the time we have for today. If you'd like to connect with us on social media, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Blackthorn Podcast Network or I Am Heathen Pod. That's I Am Heathen POD. August is right around the corner. I mean, it's August 7th at this point, and we'll be dropping new episodes every week on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today's hailings, as we do in every one of our episodes, will take a bit of a different tact. So, like the last episode and the episode before it, raise your glass. And if you don't have one and you're listening to this, go get one. Go, 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 go. All right, with that said, raise your glass. Hail the gods, hail the ancestors, hail the folk, hail Derek, hail John. And I'd like to propose a second toast for the last two. If you knew them, think on them fondly, and repeat after me. Hail Jedi, hail Hugin. I really am glad you all came out for this, and this was tough to record, but I'm glad I did it, and we'll see you all next week. This has been a Blackthorn production.